morning, FPO world, FPO Ched here, back with a video. This is going to be my game week 1 current draft, subject to change, Community Shield today. Lots can happen, press conferences, obviously, lastminute.com, things can change. But my current thinking is not a bench boost 1 or 2. I want to put as much money in my 11 as I can. Start with players that I trust. And against fixtures that I believe that are the weakest and the best for my setup with a free hit 4 in mind. I quickly want to just say reason why I'm locked in free hit 4. I think Hull are going to be the weakest team by a long stretch. Their data last year was relegation on the defence. They scraped the barrel getting into the playoffs and they got into the Premier League. And I think they're going to be the cannon fodder. And if you have a look, pre-game week 10 versus Arsenal, they have 2 red fixtures. One is game week 1 at their home against Man United. I shall have a triple up. And the next one is when they're away to Chelsea. And that's why I want to free hit. Most people start with João Pedro and 1 or 2 free transfers can get in 3 versus Hull anyway. But I'm going to opt to free hit because I'll look to save my free transfers. And I want to wildcard in game week 6. So the reason for that is the international break. I just believe it's best to aim for 6 as a minimum because anything can happen in that 3 weeks. You've got 3 weeks of them training in between games, not just playing 3 internationals, but they're training. Any injuries can happen in training. Loads could happen. You could, get into game week 6 with 4 or 5 injuries. Maybe. I'd just love to have my wild card there just as security. Anyway, let's get into it. Raya in goal. Most will say I'm mental. 6 million is very expensive, but I want Arsenal cover. I don't trust Ben White for injury. I don't trust that Timber can't just come back in game week 4. Mosquera, I don't trust him to definitely start. Arsenal could get a transfer through the door, so I don't trust him past game week 1, 2. Calafiori is probably my favourite, but again, Hinsapi's breathing down his neck. I don't trust him for not getting injuries. So I see all of them as potential headaches, except Raya and Gabriel, and Raya is £2 million cheaper. So for that, and because I don't love the fixtures, I'm going to go with Raya. Next up is Nico Williams. The new Munez, player of the year last year, takes some corners. He's at home to Leeds in game week 1, home in game week 3 against Tottenham, and then home in game week 5 against Coventry. Well, I'm free hitting in 4, so I don't have to worry about that. And then in game week 2, I am looking to bring onto the pitch my enabler, which will be either Van Ewijk or De Silva. Again, opting for either of the Coventry fullbacks. Reason being is I don't trust who starts as centre-back for Coventry. Van Ewijk has slightly more upside in attacking. I think he got 7 assists or 8 assists versus De Silva got 4. So I'm currently on Van Ewijk. I only need him as a cover for game week 2, which also covers me a little bit against those that are bench boosting in 2. So it will be Williams versus Leeds, Coventry defender versus Hull, Williams versus Tottenham, free hit, Williams versus Coventry. 4 home games for that position. And hopefully 5 if I free hit a home player. Next up is Maguire, set piece target. Now Casemiro's gone, as shown in the last pre-season. He scored. Hull, Ipswich, and then Everton. Can't really argue with that. Everyone's going to Man United. Defender, keeper, some are doing double up, so you have to cover it as well. The next defender that I think is locked is Azure for Brentford at 4.5 million, centre-back. Good defensive contribution stats when he played centre-back last year. Home versus Tottenham. I don't mind. Tottenham haven't got the attacking players that they wanted yet. Away versus Leeds, I don't love. I think Leeds are going to be good this year. And then at home to Sunderland. But otherwise, they are very good fixtures. The next spot, so the 5th defender spot, is my not so sure. It's Ballard, Mihajlovic, or Van Hecke. Van Hecke I like, but his fixtures aren't amazing, but they're not poor. But I like Tottenham's defenders because I think because they haven't got the attacking players in that they want, they're going to try and get over the line with results through defending well. So I think Van Hecke, if he does keep a clean sheet, will get DEFCON and might get in with the bonus. Mihajlovic is a beast, DEFCON, and he's a huge man, so good aerial threat. Wilson's come in now, so set pieces, they've got a set piece expert, should we say. Ballard, I do like. Ipswich is good, but in these first 3 fixtures, he's away, then at home, and then away. Well, thanks to Tom Hadley, Ballard scored 4 points or more in 83% of his home games, only 33% of his away. Well, in his first 3 games, 2 of them are away. That is why I'm red flagging on him. I think Ipswich will score. So then I'm just looking at, hopefully they only scored 1, and then he gets DEFCON for 4 points. So the ceiling for me is not massive on Ballard. I am tempted with Vuskovic, but because he's 19 and they're in and out of Europe, even though it's not, the difficultest team in the world in Tromsø, and they'll probably rest. He's still got Struijk, he's still got Dunk, he's still 19, he's still new to the Premier League, and he's still juggling Europe. For that reason, I have an air of doubt. I think his ceiling's massive because Brighton defensively were great last year, towards the end of the season, not the last game, clearly. But also he's a defensive contribution beast, and he's also good for a goal. So he is in consideration if I was to play a slightly riskier tactic. So that's my defence. Williams rotating with the Coventry for 2 for game week 2. Maguire, set pieces, good fixtures. Azure 4.3, decent fixtures. I just need to decide on that last spot. This morning I'm currently on Mihajlovic or Van Hecke, but I don't like Mihajlovic's opening game. I'd probably bench him actually and probably play Azure at home to Tottenham. Bruno Fernandes, no explanation. Szoboszlai, for me, no explanation. 90 minutes, he's on set pieces, he gets corners. Even when he plays deep, he seems to come up with a banger. He's just a reliable guy to tick along. Ndiaye, not amazing fixtures, but he's on penalties. His minutes are good. And when their backs are against the wall, he does get close to the DEFCON, so you might get lucky. If I had an extra 0.5, would I go Dewsbury? I loved Dewsbury last year. Possibly stay with Ndiaye anyway, just for the penalties. And then my other one is Mbeumo, up top currently, and he's playing 2 promoted teams. If he does start, I think he could have a field day. I think he's one of them players that when Man United have got Rashford, Dorgu, Kuna, Ahmad, Sesko, you're a bit worried about his minutes. But if you don't have him in your team, it's kind of hide behind the sofa for 2 games, and I can't be bothered with that. And then he's an easy move potentially in game week 3 to Semenyo, if you can find that 500,000. If Semenyo hasn't risen by then, which he probably will have done, to be fair. So you'd probably have to store 1 million or find 1 million to cover it. Up front, 3 amigos: Haaland, DCL, JP. JP and DCL have been phenomenal in pre-season. Probably I had him in my draft before pre-season anyway. DCL's your talisman, penalty man. JP, he's up and around Palmer and Rodgers, so he's going to get chances. They're going to be good this year, I think, Chelsea. And then my dead player on the bench is Crooks. It was between him and Slater. But Crooks, from 32 games, got 9 goals and assists. Slater is more reliable for minutes. He played 42 games, but with only 4 goals and assists. So I've gone for the more upside pick, 9 goals and assists in 32, if I do require him, which I hopefully don't. And then my keeper's a dead keeper in Dovin. So my starting 11 on game week 1 would be Raya, Coventry, Nico Williams, against Leeds. Maguire, Hull. Azure against Tottenham. If I go Ballard, I might go for him instead of Azure for Ipswich. Bruno and Buemo against Hull. Soboslai against Newcastle. Ndiaye at home to Palace, who I think are on the ropes. They're in a transition. They just got pumped yesterday, I think. Was it 3-0? And Everton looks solid at home. I like that. And then you got your three amigos. Haaland is subject to today's Community Shield. So yeah, that is me. No bench boost 1, no bench boost 2, free hit 4 to go for Chelsea, and if Palace have got their act together against Ipswich, and yeah, wild card at the earliest, hopefully in game week 6 in that international break. Otherwise, I'll just keep going because, you know, it's a solid team with Raya, Bruno and Buemo, Soboslai, Ndiaye, Haaland, Calvert-Lewin, João Pedro. They're all players that can do the deed even against difficult fixtures. I've spread my assets, except for Man United. I've doubled up in attack, but I like to spread my attack. But if you've got two promotion teams, you can't really avoid it, to be honest with you. Anyway, that is me. So I hope that you have a really poor game week 1. I don't like it when people say, hey, we had a good game week on game week 1. No, I had a terrible one, all of you, and then I'll be number 1 in the world, won't I? Thank you for watching. Don't drop litter. Please, pointless. If you do, just punch yourself in the face. Just punish yourself for it because it's just not needed. Take care and peace.